Hey guys, what's up? I'm Allie and welcome back to my channel. Today's video isn't going to be the most positive. I really want my channel to be all positive and all about fitness and what you could do to be healthier and everything like that. But this is a part of my life and I really want to share this with you because it is a part of my fitness journey. I really want this to be as uncut as possible. If it's not, it's probably because like I'm either stumbling off because I have so much, I'm so anxious just even trying to share this with you guys. If I put cuts into it, like the video, it's because I either ramble on about something that's not really about what I'm trying to talk about, or it's just because I'm stumbling on my words. So before we begin, just a little bit of a disclaimer. I will be talking about addiction, self-harm, and also depression and anxiety and stuff. And also I just wanted to say that I don't blame the people involved in this story. Addiction's a real problem and it should be talked about, and I'm allowed to talk about this. This is another thing that I wanted to say, is that I'm allowed to talk about this because it's what I lived and it's what I felt most of my life. I know some people are like, oh well, should you really be sharing this because it's not your story to share? It is, because I lived this every single day. So this is why I'm sharing it with you guys, is because this is the reason why I went to the gym. This is the reason why I started going to the gym, is because of this story. So people ask me why, like, why do you have all this motivation to go to the gym? I just want to share you guys, like, the truth. Like, I just want to share with you guys the truth. Because it's not easy to tell you guys why I'm so motivated to go to the gym when I can't really talk about it in person without crying. Okay, so let's just get right into the video. So I grew up with a mom and a dad, both together. They seemed happy when I was younger. So I grew up with them, and this is just like the chunk of, this is like a chunk of what happened. Like, there's a bunch of mini stories in this one big story, but I'm not even gonna go into them. So as a kid, I was about 10 years old, and let's just talk about, sorry. So I was constantly taken away from my parents as a kid, but for really short periods of time, because they had an illness, which was addiction, and I don't blame them at all, because it is horrible. I'm trying not to cry already. So addiction is horrible. But when I was 10 years old, I went out with a friend. And she was my best friend at the time when I was a little kid. And we went to a powwow. Her family was Native. And it was like the most fun I've ever had. I loved going to those things with her. But when I came back, I opened the door and I smelled something burning, and I could still smell it to this day. I smelled something burning, and there was a pot on the stove without any water in it, and the pot was burning. So I turned off the stove, but my mom was laying there on the floor. So I tried to wake her up, and she responded. And me as a kid, I was really smart because this wasn't the first time. So she responded, and I said, "Mom, can you get me a Freezy?" I really wanted to test her out and see, like, can she like move? So I wake her up, and she stands up for a brief second and then falls back down. And at this time, my little sister and my brother, who had leukemia, he was very young. He wasn't even a year old yet. He had leukemia, and they were sleeping on the couch, which I was thankful for. And basically, I woke her up again. And she asks me, "Where's your dad?" And I was like, "I don't know." And so me following behind her, because she got up again, me following behind her, she goes downstairs. She's stumbling. My dad's on the couch with his head back, and like, it was the most scariest thing I've ever seen in my life. My dad's on the couch with his head back, and she falls on the floor at his feet, trying to wake him up, but unsuccessful. There was drugs all over the table. Nothing I've never seen before. And so I try to wake up my dad, and he's not talking at all. And I was 10. And I was taken away from my parents a couple times, but only living with family members for a brief, like, couple weeks or something like that. I take my 10-year-old hands and I wipe the entire table off, which had drugs on it, and I hid all their utensils and the couch cushions because I didn't want to be taken away. So then I went upstairs after I did that, because that was my first instinct, is that I didn't want to be taken away. Oh, God, I'm sorry. So, I called the police, and I brought my little sister and my little brother to the neighbors. And then came back and sat on the couch and waited. So they came in. I didn't even answer the door. I just let them just break in. And I told them they were downstairs. I don't know how, and I don't know how they managed to wake up my dad. But my dad, he was very upset that someone called the police. I think it's because he was upset that we would be taken again. That's what I've seen on his face. And then my grandma and my grandpa came back because they dropped us off because they were occasionally looking after us while my parents were in Toronto at the Ronald McDonald House for my little brother. So they came back, And my grandma fought for us to go with her, so I love my grandma and my grandpa so much for that. So we went with my grandparents, and we thought that it was only gonna be for a couple months because we were always there for only like a couple months. But then my grandma enrolled us into school, the elementary school, in a small town. And even there, I was kind of like so confused and so hurt. But I never blamed my parents for that, because I knew that it was like an illness and they had to get better. So my parents went to rehabs and everything like that, but I still lived with my grandparents. I hope my makeup's not smeared. Okay. I need to take a second. So, during this process, I was so, like, the realization for me that I wasn't going back with my parents was when my grandparents enrolled me into school. And then so it developed feelings of depression. I was constantly anxious that people are temporary in my life, and it still haunts me to this day. And I felt very unworthy of everything, even though my grandparents showered me with love. And my grandparents were really good with helping me out with how I was feeling, and they gave me so much. They gave me money to go out for lunch. They stopped their lives and they took in 3 kids when they were done parenting themselves so that we could all stay together. But anyways, I'm gonna try and get to the point. But I felt so much in pain, and it was always the fact that when people saw me, it was like, how is your mom and dad doing? How is your mom and dad? Why are you living with your grandparents? How is your mom and dad doing? And it's never, how are you doing? Because I get it, it's their illness, but it broke my heart at the time, and it still has an effect on me. So, because I felt this way, I didn't want to anymore. And so I started hurting myself physically and emotionally. So I would end friendships, I would end relationships. I always had to be with somebody because I don't even know why I had to always be with somebody. I just felt like I always had to be with somebody, even though I was really young, because I needed that affection. I don't know why. It's just what I did. So when people, I was young, and like I understood the fact that, oh, I wasn't gonna be with every single person that I was gonna be with through high school. I knew that. But when, like, if we broke up or something, it was like
the most traumatic thing again, because again, it's the validation that I'm enough for people. So even then, I would break off relationships to hurt my own self. And that makes no sense, but I would do that. And then the physical things that I would do is I would cut, I would burn my skin. I would either eat a lot or eat nothing at all, to the point where I was like almost under 100 pounds. So I started hurting myself that way. And that's where I don't understand how people can tell me that I'm a strong person, because I did all those things to myself. And I did so much more that I don't even want to say on camera. Because I felt like this pain would never go away. And it's still there sometimes. But then that brings me to me being introduced to the gym when I was in grade, I think it was 10, in my grade 10 fitness class. I was introduced to the gym and I liked it, and it was a good type of pain. I liked pushing myself so hard that I would forget about what I was feeling. And then that turned into the soreness the next day. I liked that pain. It was a good pain. So going from self-harm to going into the gym and making it something way better was a huge step for me. And that's how I got into the gym. And I continue to go. And the gym is like an escape for me. It's not a chore. It's not a chore. Like a lot of people think it's a chore. It's not. Because that's where I go to meditate. It's like the same thing as meditating for me. But when I start thinking about like my parents and everything, that's when I go to the gym. And when I start thinking about anything else that upsets me, that's when I go to the gym. But that's the story about me finding the gym, and that's why I work out. And I don't think it's fair to leave you guys on a cliffhanger and not tell you where my parents are at now, because it wouldn't be fair for them too. But my dad's doing really good. He has a really lovely girlfriend, and they are on a journey. They're working, and he's clean. I'm really happy for him. I wish I could see him more often, and I still to this day don't blame him at all. But my mom, on the other hand, she's still really sick, and to the point where she doesn't understand who she's hurting and what she's doing. So it's not even just the addiction anymore. She's like mentally ill, and that kills me, and I wish she knew how much I loved her and love her now. And I still don't blame them, because it's a horrible thing. And I'm just so grateful that my grandparents were there for me. And I'm so happy my dad is getting better. So that's why I'm so motivated to go to the gym, is because it makes me forget about everything. Even I don't really think about that day when I was 10 anymore, but whenever I have an issue, that's where I go, and that's where I find my peace. And that's all I have for you guys today. I'm so sorry that it was like a negative video, but it is a part of my journey. I wanted to share it because it is a very important thing for me as a person. Anyways, until next time.